Welcome to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast of the Illinois Air National Guard at Scott Air Force Base. I'm your host, Technical Sergeant Brian Ellison. The Roll Call podcast focused on people, mission, and community. Hello to all our friends who are deployed. Thanks for listening to Roll Call. Congratulations to the Wing's Outstanding Airman of the Year for 2021. Airman of the Year, Senior Airman Cole Gelfius, 126th Operations Group. NCO of the Year, Staff Sergeant Mariah Nelson, 126th Med Group. Senior NCO of the Year, Master Sergeant Brian Hatfield, 126th Headquarters. And First Sergeant of the Year, Senior Master Sergeant Nicole Peterson, 126th Mission Support Group. They move on to represent our wing at the state level competition during the January UTA at Camp Lincoln in Springfield. Remember, if there's snow on the ground and you want to know if you should be around, yeah, I tried to do a little rhyme there, not in catchy. If you want to know if we're having a snow day or a delayed start, you can call the Scott Air Force Base Information Hotline, 618-256-7232, or you can, of course, go to the Scott Air Force Base Facebook page, the 126th Air Refueling Wing Facebook page, or you just might get a phone call from your supervisor. There's more information on inclement weather on our 126th Air Refueling Wing Facebook page. Check Twitter or Instagram as well. This episode of Roll Call features the most recent town hall from Friday, December 4th, moderated by Mr. Ken Stevens, 126th Public Affairs, with 126th Air Refueling Wing Commander Colonel Tom Jackson, 126th Vice Commander Colonel Nick Babiak, and Wing Command Chief Master Sergeant Mike Douglas. One of the biggest topics discussed was COVID-19 vaccine. They discussed when we will receive it, our role in the distribution, and whether we have to get vaccinated. Here's Colonel Jackson to start off the town hall.
So welcome everybody. Welcome back to our next installment of a town hall. We like to use these opportunities, since we can't get together with you folks face-to-face or in a group, use these opportunities to share some information, especially before UTA weekend is timely. So a lot of things have been going on. We've had a lot of DV visits recently, and despite the COVID, the mission still moves on. We have folks returning from deployment next week that will close up our CENTCOM presence for the air crew and maintenance, which is something that we've been working on for many, many years, and we're going to be essentially out of that location for quite some time. So looking forward to having those folks home. We had some other folks home return home about a month ago from that location as well. We still have quite a few deployed out to AFRICOM and CENTCOM, so keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers as we go through the holiday season. As we come into the drill weekend here, obviously we're somewhat of a smaller presence, but we still have a lot of things to do, so we're still moving forward on that and get everybody back together and doing our somewhat normal thing. But with that, we'll go ahead and start opening the floor to some questions, but once again, if you guys have something, please shoot it our way. And let us know what you guys want to know, and we'll answer as best we can. So, Mr. Stevens, you have the floor.
Thank you, Colonel. First question, of course, it's December. What are we doing for our holiday events?
Excellent.
Is the airstrip open again?
Yeah, perfect timing. Yeah, the Mid-America, or Scott Runway, just opened up December 1st. So, in typical Air Force fashion, here we are talking, and an Air Force plane goes by, so you gotta love that. But, yeah, so holiday parties, holiday weekend, it's typically a December drill for us in the Guard, is a chance to get some work done in the mornings and early afternoons, and then take an hour or two in the afternoon to have some camaraderie, team building events, have some fun, and share some holiday spirit with our teammates. So instead of having our large events that we normally do, we're not going to be able to have a large family Christmas party like we normally would. Normally we have the kids' holiday party on Sunday of drill. But what our family readiness folks are doing, Travis Barker and Keeley are doing for us, Keeley Speck, they've got this outstanding holiday bazaar set up for us. It's going to be open Saturday and Sunday. It's going to have all kinds of toys, Christmas trees, and other events. So I highly recommend everyone get a chance to come out and do that. I believe it's between 11 and 2 on Saturday and Sunday in building 5046, which is our cold storage building out there by the Vista building and McAllister's restaurant across the street from there. So that's one of the big things we have going on Saturday and Sunday. So instead of individual unit parties that are much larger or big social events, we're essentially keeping it to the unit level. Squadron commanders, supervisors, they're doing their own little events at their unit level. So we have some that are already scheduled that I know about, some that are still being worked on and gathered up, but I guarantee you we're still going to take some opportunity this weekend to share some holiday spirit and camaraderie. So that's a big thing for the family here in the Guard and what we do, and certainly for the folks coming in for the UT weekend, spend some time with each other. And that's the big plan. So that's where we're going.
Thanks, sir. Chief Douglas, next question. Of course, with all the partying going on this month, a lot of people are also thinking about PT tests. Can you give us an update on the PT testing, sir?
Okay, the PT tests are still in a holding status right now, but if you're in need of a PT test for a particular reason or whatever, you can get with your commander and possibly set it up so that you would have an actual PT score. So if you're exempt, you can go forward with the exempts or whatever, but for people who want to do it, there is the opportunity to do it. It just has to be worked out with their commander, and it has to be approved that it can be done in a safe fashion, both for the member and the people who are doing the testing themselves. So I'm sure there's a lot to come as we keep moving forward. It's ever changing, but there is the opportunity if a person does need a PT test for a particular reason or just wants to have their PT test done. It's just going to be done in lesser of an environment where there's less people, and it can be done safer for them and the tester themselves. So that's it.
Thanks, sir. Colonel Babiak, the state partnership program, could you give us an update on that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
But first a little background on the state partnership program, because some of our members might be asking why the focus on Poland. Poland has very quickly become one of our most important strategic partners in NATO. They're very willing to cooperate with the U.S. They're very willing to host U.S. personnel in their country. As a consequence, the Illinois Army National Guard has deployed numerous times to CENTCOM with the Polish Army. The Illinois Air National Guard routinely conducts training with the Polish Air Force, typically during aviation detachment rotations or large force exercises. In addition, because of this cooperation, the DoD has allowed the Poles to purchase land-based Aegis missile defense systems, the F-35, our newest and most capable fifth-generation fighter. All of these things combined with the strategic location of Poland, which is right in the backyard of one of our near-peer competitors, gives our state partnership program extremely high visibility at extremely high levels. Some of the things that we've been participating in recently was a very successful large force exercise, Astral Night in September, and the next one on the books is a maintenance generation road team, which will be held in late winter, early spring, and it's a AETC sponsored event, but will be spearheaded by our maintenance group, allowing them to share their best practices with their Polish counterparts.
Thanks, sir. I understand they're opening a U.S. Air Force base in Poland?
There's been discussion upon that. I don't think there's any formal announcement as of yet, but I do know that the Poles are throwing billions of dollars into infrastructure, specifically at Powidz Air Base, basically to have enlarged air capability, but also an enlarged facility to accept Army troops and Army heavy equipment.
Okay. All right. Thanks, sir. Colonel Jackson, back to you, sir. The professional military development, can you give us an update on that?
Sure. Professional development. It's something we talked about quite a bit. It's something pretty much everybody hears in their career, or should hear in their career quite a bit. Professional development for me means that every airman, from the time they get into this wing and get out of basic training at tech school, that is the beginning of their professional development, and that professional development continues throughout their career. Even myself, I'm still seeking out professional development opportunities. for myself and my team directly that reports to me. Professional development should be something that improves someone's ability to not only do their job that they're currently assigned to, but what else can they learn about the wing, about the people they work with, about leadership, communication, everything about just being a professional airman, whether you're officer or enlisted. And that needs to continue through your career. As an individual, you need to be very well involved in your own performance report writing and management and execution of that. You need to make sure that you have direct contact with your supervisor writing your performance reports and making sure that they reflect exactly what you did for that year and reflect what you want to do in the future. And then professional development courses, PME, individual events, exercises, those kind of things that you can go and participate in to learn more about your job, but then what else goes on around it, what you support and what you can do. So that's the big push from my end. I'll let Colonel Babiak talk about officer stuff specific and the chief talk about enlisted development. But yeah, you got to keep growing. That is the biggest thing, because if you're not growing yourself, you're not helping your team. Because as you grow and develop, you need to be able to develop those around you, and then eventually you will be teaching those below you and teaching them to take your spot eventually. So professional development is a continuous process, both not only for you, but for those that you work with.
Sure.
So,
Would you like me to comment on that now?
yeah, Steve, you take the officers.
Okay, so as far as the officers are concerned, I think it's just important to understand that your goals and aspirations as a lieutenant may be very different than what they end up to be as a captain, major, lieutenant colonel, or 06. OPRs don't matter until OPRs matter. So it's important that you take them very seriously. Likewise, PME, you may think as a young lieutenant doesn't matter until later on in your career, it does matter. I certainly know that as a young airman basic many years ago, that's how I felt. I didn't have at the time any aspirations or inclinations that I might end up being an 06 and a vice wing commander. However, throughout my career, that changed gradually, and what I found through examples from some of my predecessors was that when opportunity knocks, you don't want to be the one that's there and not prepared. So I think it's very important to have yourself prepared at every level in your career to make that next step, so that you at least have a choice to decide if that's something you want to pursue or not.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Chief.
Okay, and follow up off of just like what Colonel Babiak said, the time to prepare is before you really need it. You know, when there's a job announcement out, that's not time to go setting yourself up for the position. As he said, you know, you need to be ready when the opportunity knocks. And one of the things I just sent an email to our chiefs about development opportunities and preparing their airmen to mentor their airmen and develop their airmen and have them do these things. And some of the things that we do on the enlisted side of the house that I know when people put in application packets for development training or development opportunities, one of the things that's looked at heavily is what you did to develop yourself on your own. You know, Chief Mertz just got selected this year to go to a development training, and one of the things the packet has on it is, did you do your senior joint PME through the Joint Knowledge Online course? So there's the Joint PME 1, Joint PME 2, Defense Support of Civil Authorities, Phase 1, all these things that you can do on your own to show that you do have the motivation and the want and the drive to do something. It's not like put your hand out and say, give me something that I can go to. It's like, hey, I bring this to you and I want to further develop myself. So be prepared, do the things that you can do on your own, and keep moving up the line. And PME, when you're doing your PME, don't look at it as it's a need for my next level of promotion. PME, your professional military education, is what you can do for others. It's not just what you do for yourself. When we send a senior NCO to the Senior NCO Academy, they're going there to better themselves, to be a better leader and better for their airmen, and to bring the airmen that work for them and around them up. It's not just for you, so don't look at it. A lot of people look at it as I'm checking the box to get promoted, and I don't need to do senior joint or need to do PME until it comes time for my promotion. No, you need to do it as soon as you're eligible, as soon as it's available to you, and to get in there so that you can be a better person, a better supervisor for your airmen. So remember that. It's all about taking care of the people around you, because you're bringing up the next generation.
Do you have something?
Yeah, so I just want to kind of close up with give an example of the importance of what this is and what's going on is just our new state leadership that, well, not really new, but General Neely and General Nazamis. From the air side, I can tell you from experience, they are looking very, very closely at everyone's package holistically. It is not just a what have you done in the last year or two, it is what have you been doing over your career, and does your records match what you say you did? So doing all those things is great. You got to do the PME, you got to do the OPRs, you got to do that school, you got to do all those things. But your records have to be accurate. And it's important to keep those on target as you're doing it and as you're going through life, to keep an eye on those things and keep them checked out. Because once you get to that point where you're trying to go through an 06 board, and we got to look back through sometimes 18, 20 years of your career, that's not the time that you're trying to fix things. So keep an eye on those things. Writing good performance reports and getting your PME done so you can help others. One of the things I always say to people, once you get to know your job really well, 75% of your time is spent doing that job and doing it extremely well. The other 25% is figuring out, okay, what's next? What else do I got to do for myself and others to help grow? So.
Colonel Jackson, would you like to touch on the importance of doing joint PME early in your career?
Oh, yeah, joint PME. That is something that for enlisted and officer, you can actually go to the NGB website, and there's a place in A1 where you can actually see a scorecard, if you will, for both enlisted and officer for a career, on what are the things that you need to do to get competitive for those senior level positions. One of those things is joint credit. By and large, it's extremely difficult to obtain. A lot of times the joint credit is obtained through a joint assignment, which sometimes means a year or two joint assignment, which most folks on active duty have that opportunity at some point in their career. Most folks in the Air National Guard do not. So due to that, you have to kind of be a little bit more creative on where you find those opportunities. And to Colonel Badiak's point, you got to do it early. There are opportunities as captains and majors and tech sergeants, master sergeants to participate in joint exercises, courses that DISCA Phase 2, the Defense Support Civil Agencies Phase 2, does provide a little bit of joint credit. Those are the things that will set people apart from a joint perspective more than anything else. And as you get further along in your career, don't be afraid to take an opportunity away from the 126th to broaden your horizons, with the understanding that, hey, I plan on coming back in 2 to 3 years after this assignment's complete, as I get a little bit more broadening in experience. So the joint experience credit is highly valued. It's also extremely difficult, but understanding the importance of it, and our Adjutant General has placed a pretty big emphasis on it. He is joint qualified himself and understands the importance of that particular qualification. So don't be afraid to take a look at those opportunities later in life, so that you can take a look, improve your career and experiences in life.
What are some examples of positions that would qualify for joint credit?
Yeah, so a lot of them have to do with, for an assignment, those would be joint qualified assignments, and those are very specific, and they're identified in the assignment whether you get joint credit. Some of those could be at a Joint Force headquarters, working for another service. Those are the kind of things that are out there. And a lot of times they require typically a year, sometimes 6 months, to do those assignments where you get a credit for those. But it's very difficult to find them, but then you got to be able to work yourself into those positions. But once again, it comes down to qualifications. If you get to that point in your career where you'd like to go do that joint assignment, but you just don't have the experience to get there, then it's kind of tough. But they're out there, but they're not a whole lot of them. You just got to be kind of willing to be more open to a move or a PCS or a temporary assignment where you go do something for a little bit and then come back and get it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Chief Douglas, we had a visitor last month, Chief Master Sergeant Williams, the new Command Chief of the Air National Guard. Could you tell us how that visit went?
It went really well. One of the things the chief was touching on was development of our airmen, which we've already covered, so that is important to them and to him in the Air National Guard as far as that. One of the things that's near and dear to everybody's heart is the EPRs, because his predecessor had put together a Tiger team to look at EPRs for the National Guard, because it's every time you ask a question of a senior leader, it seems that we request questions for senior leaders, it seems something comes up about the EPR system. So he said no, he was not moving forward with the Tiger team because the Air Force as a whole was looking at some EPR type issues, and he was going to see what came of that. We do, and he said the Air National Guard does have members sitting on that to give the input from the Air National Guard perspective of the EPRs, and so that was one of his things. The other thing is just basically what we've been talking about here today is the development opportunities for people to take advantage of the development opportunities and to be prepared when the time comes up. So he just wanted to make people aware of that when he was out visiting with the 5-6 Council. That was one of the things he brought up, is that, hey, look for these opportunities, as the Colonel said, not necessarily joint assignments, but assignments that you can go to outside of the 126. It may be a year or a 2-year assignment, but it's a development opportunity, and then you plan on coming back to the 126, or you plan on coming back to Illinois and continuing your career on from there. So it went really well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Colonel Jackson, with the amount of COVID cases increasing again in the state of Illinois, do you see the 126 supporting the state of Illinois' response to the COVID-19? Any more state activations?
Yeah, very timely question. The COVID, obviously, everyone's seen the numbers going up significantly. We've experienced that as well here, not in our campus, not at work, but for the folks that do work here, primarily from outside the work area. But as those numbers go up, we've kept things very, very safe here, kept things very, very clean, so it's a safe opportunity. So just a word for everyone coming for drill, we are keeping everything, all the protocols in place and all those kind of things, so safety is paramount. But the mission still has to go on, so we are moving forward on those things that need to get done. As far as supporting the community and the state, that is always one of our missions. We will always do that. We are working right now with the 375th Air Mobility Wing and our mission partners across the installation to develop the plan on vaccine administration, and developing how many numbers do we need as the wing, who's going to get them first, and how. Right now, militarily, the vaccine is voluntary while it's under emergency approval by the FDA. I don't know where that's going to go in the future. I don't know when the vaccine is going to get here, but I do know that as a nuclear support entity, and we have an operational mission worldwide, military members are high on the list. We're not tier 1, we're tier 2. Actually, firefighters, security forces, medical folks, they're tier 1, first responders, those kind of things. But the rest of the military is tier 2, and our wing is in that tier solidly. So I don't foresee a mandatory vaccine for the 126 membership, and I don't know when the vaccines are going to be available, but we already are kind of developing those plans for local execution for military members. Second, when it comes to the state, this plan with the 375th and this military installation does include vaccination of the civilian community around us as well. So it's not necessarily that the 126 would support that immediately, but it would all depend upon federal mobilization and all those other kind of things. But I'm sure that if the request comes, 126 would be more than willing and able to support and execute that mission if so desired. So I do foresee some support in that, but level is still to be determined.
And there's no certain timeline on it yet?
No timeline right now. I know that there's a large number of vaccines that are going to be available relatively soon, meaning within the next 4 to 6 weeks, from 2 different manufacturers, 2 different storage techniques for each of those. But the 375th as the installation will manage the majority of that, and the 126 will then partner with them to obtain what we need to obtain and execute what we need to execute. So right now, I don't know a timeline, but I do know that the vaccine is coming. Military members will be on that list, and certainly for those that want to get it, will be able to, and those that do not, at this point, will not be forced to get it. That's what we know right now.
Thanks, sir. Kind of along with that line too, I know with the COVID, the cases that have come out over this summer, we've had to push back inspections. I know we're starting to schedule them in again. Has the surge in COVID cases affected the inspection schedule again?
No, the schedule remains. We did have to modify the exercise we were planning in November due to the operations group, but we were able to reschedule that for January. So what we're doing is, those events are still going to occur, but more importantly for me and my leadership team is the wing's ability to execute those mission sets. That's more important to me than the inspections themselves. Because if we can execute the mission set, we will do just fine in any inspection. I'm not concerned about inspections. I'm concerned about our ability to support the mission sets that we're assigned to do. So that being said, we're going to continue on and execute those exercises and those training events required so that we can all be prepared to execute the mission sets as directed. That alone will be able to put us in a position where the inspections coming up will flow. I had a meeting with the AMCIG last week, 2 weeks ago, and they are going to stay on target, but their inspection footprint is going to be modified or in their processes. For example, the 375th just finished the unit effectiveness inspection, and about 90% of their inspections were done virtually. Whether it was an inspector looking through MIG-T or it was going through a Zoom or a WebEx meeting to do the interviews or those kind of things, the large majority of that inspection was done virtually to help mitigation, but they still got the inspection completed. So that being said, we will still have a large force readiness exercise in May, or that's being inspected by AMCIG, and in July, we're still going to have our unit effectiveness inspection, again, by the AMCIG. We will still do all the training events to prepare for those. We'll still do all the internal process controls and management that's required to get prepared, and we'll be doing all that just fine while we're still executing our worldwide mission. This is what we do. Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Thank you. Let's see that we have any questions that come through the feed. Again, if you do have any questions, please post them on our Facebook feed for the event. Other than that, just unless you have anything to add, sir? Or?
Chief, do you have anything else to close up with?
Just remind people as we enter the holiday season is to remember to keep practicing their resiliency of, taking care of themselves and their family around them. It's that time of the year. A lot of our members are closing out the end of the semester for school and they're moving back home and so forth. So, we appreciate all the stuff that you do for the wing, and we're glad to see that people continue to move forward and are doing it in a safe fashion. So just remember to be safe in the things that you're doing, and we'll keep on doing what we've got to do to make sure that the mission stays on target.
Go back.
Following in a common thread, just be smart as far as COVID protocols, be flexible, and then, personally and organizationally balance your risk mitigation with mission execution. And I think we'll all make it through this, and hopefully 2021 we'll be able to turn the page and move on.
Good, thank you. Okay, I'm going to close up with a couple of things. So resiliency, Chief, thank you for mentioning that. That is this time of year, it's been tested this year more than any. I know our helping agencies across the installation have really been tasked quite a bit just with the resiliency for all of our airmen, and they've done exceptionally well. The investments we've made into those programs have paid off, and they have been used to great effect. So from a resiliency standpoint, take care of yourself first and foremost. If you're not taking care of yourself, it's very difficult for you to help anybody else. So exercise when appropriate, when needed. Take care of yourself physically, mentally, and socially. I know the term socially distant is used quite a bit, social distancing. I prefer to call that physically distant but socially connected. we are still humans. We still need to have contact with each other in whatever form or fashion that's required. But take care of yourself first and foremost, because if you can't take care of yourself, you're unable to ask for help and let us do that, or get some friends to help you. Second, take care of those around you as well. Well, look around. We all have friends and family. We have folks that are deployed all over the world, and we have family spread out across the country that hopefully we'll all be able to get together in some way, whether it's virtually or in person. But those are the things that are really going to help us stay strong, and both physically and mentally. So take care of yourself, take care of your family. It's really, really important. In addition to the gatherings that we'll probably see, we saw that spike after Halloween. Probably going to see another spike this week, across the nation after Thanksgiving. I can only imagine that spike is going to be continued through Christmas and New Year's. Have that in mind. Be safe about what you do. Make smart decisions. Most importantly, think about all those mitigation techniques that are out there and use them appropriately, because they are very effective. We've used them to great effect here at the wing and across the installation. As long as everybody keeps doing that at home, in January drill we'll be able to get back together again, and everyone will be healthy and take care of that, and I'm looking forward to it. But lastly, closing up into the drill weekend here, I'm really looking forward to getting around and seeing as many as we can. It won't be in the big groups, it won't be in anything else, but the leadership team and I, we're going to try to separate and divide and conquer, hopefully get around and see as many as we can. Like Colonel Babiak said, I think all of us would like to close out 2020 on a high note, and then move into 2021 with some vigor and get ready to move forward on some really good things. I'm really excited about where the wing is going. Thank you all for everything you've done for the last year. This has been a very interesting first 9 months of command, I can tell you that. But it's certainly been rewarding in a lot of ways. So thank you all very much for that. So Ken, we'll give it back to you to close it up.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, I'm Ken Stevens with 126 Public Affairs Office. Thank you, Colonel Jackson, Colonel Babiak, Chief Douglas for joining us. If you want to check us out, make sure, of course, you know where our Facebook feed is at. You can also find us on Instagram and on YouTube. Just do a search for 126 ARW and we'll show up. See what's happening around the wing. Check out our podcast. Sergeant Brian Ellison does a great roll call podcast. He has a lot of the key officers and leaders from around the wing, does some really good in-depth interviews, and lets you know what they have to offer you. So please check them out. And again, just thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Ken Stevens from the 126th Public Affairs Office. He moderated the most recent town hall on Friday, December 14th. That included the 126th Air Refueling Wing Commander, Colonel Tom Jackson, 126 Vice Commander, Colonel Nick Babiak, and Wing Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Mike Douglas. Now, of course, after we recorded the town hall, the Department of Air Force announced physical fitness assessments will now resume in April of 2021 and will no longer include the waist measurement component. While the waist measurement is permanently removed from the assessment, height and weight measurements will resume October of 2021. The test will still consist of a 1.5 mile run, 1 minute of push-ups, and 1 minute of sit-ups. However, the composite score is going to be calculated with full points for the waist measurement portion until system changes can be made. Department leaders are also looking to reevaluate certain testing criteria moving forward. Don't forget to check us out on social media, including our YouTube page. Search for 126 ARW Public Affairs to find us there. Of course, we have the Facebook page as well. And don't forget, we have a web page also. Of course, you can go to our Facebook page and participate in our Ask an Airman post this month. It is, what is your favorite Christmas movie? I think for me, it's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It has just so many funny moments in it. It's also funny that Diane Ladd in real life is only 8 years older than Chevy Chase. She played his mom. If you want me to highlight something on the Roll Call podcast, send me an email at 126.arw.pa.mm.org@us.af.mil. Thank you for listening to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast focused on people, mission, and community. I'm Tech Sergeant Brian Ellison.